I started GSPO back in 2002, it was with two ideas in mind. One, I wanted to create an orchestra that would bring to the concert stage great film, television, and video game music in a way that was comparable to classical concerts. That was a concert that people could really enjoy and they could love the art of it. The second reason was I wanted to provide people a way to get away from reality, a couple hours where they could leave their stresses behind, be entertained, and have a good time. When the orchestra first formed, it was under the umbrella of a civic light opera theater company in Orange County. We needed musicians for the pit orchestra, so we started this orchestra to pull those musicians from. So the first concert we did was April 6th of 2002 in the Riviera United Methodist Church in Redondo Beach. I think the orchestra had about 30 people in it, and I think the audience was about 60, and it was basically their families that came and watched it. Very humble beginning, but that was the start. We then did some musicals after that in Orange County, and we did a couple other concerts through that year. Then moving on to the Scottish Rite Cathedral in Long Beach the year after that in 2003, and then starting in 2004, we made our new home at the Warner Grand Theater, where we've been ever since, as well as some sprinkling at some other venues along the way, like the Redondo Beach Performing Arts Center, Royce Hall, Nokia, Bristol Auditorium in Bellflower, San Diego Civic Theater down in San Diego. I would like to now introduce you to our music director, Victor Pesavento.
Steve calls me up one day out of the blue and says, "Hey, I'm starting an orchestra. Do you want to be involved in it?" And I had just gotten out of school, so I was tired of rehearsals all night and homework all day. And I had a 9-to-5 job, and I went to work, and I came home, and I had a life, and I wasn't a musician. And I said to Steve, I'm not really interested in that. I kind of like where I am right now, like having my evenings free. And I said, I'll play for you. I'm a French horn player. I'll play in the section. I know you're looking for musicians, but I really don't want to get too involved in the production aspect. Well, what was it? By the time the second concert came around, things had all changed. I was all in.
By the time the second concert came around, many of the people watching may know it was Halloween Fright Night. It was the first Halloween Fright Night that was ever done at the Los Alamitos military base. And that was followed up 2 months later by the Holiday Pop Spectacular, also at the Los Alamitos military base, which is where the theater company we were under was performing. And that Halloween concert, and it kind of stuck throughout the years. My thought for me of the Halloween concert was there's a lot of great horror music out there, and there's a lot of classical music that fits that genre. Night on Bald Mountain and Sorcerer's Apprentice and Dance Macabre and different pieces that fit into it. Makes a very easy theme, but for me, the motivation was to get dressed up.
At that time, the orchestra we were scratching at the bottom of the barrel to find musicians who would play, because obviously we didn't have a large budget. And that was the first concert that eventually he became our concertmaster of the orchestra, Paul Henning, who has been our concertmaster for 10, 12, 14 years now. That was the first concert he played in the back of the second violin section.
Besides that year was also the first Holiday Pop Spectacular that we had ever done. And I don't remember the first one. I'm not sure it had a lot of film music in the very first one.
One of the most difficult things about running an orchestra that plays contemporary music is licensing and rights and all of that kind of stuff that goes along with it.
There's been many times that we've had to actually get the composers involved, not just in getting master material to use to create the arrangements, but to help us do the phone calls, be the foot in the door to get a director or a producer or the production company to actually say, oh, this is a serious question that they're asking here. And over the years, there's been a handful of people that will contact us, hey, I have this great concert idea, what do you think? And the biggest hurdle is clearance. You might not be able to get permission to do everything that you're wanting to do. So what are you going to do instead of that? And I think that's one of the things that sometimes dictates what the concerts are going to be. It's not just what do we want a theme to be or what do we want the music to be. It's what can we get?
Steve and I sit down and we plan out our programs for a season, or actually we have a little black book, if you will, of themes that we want to do, that we we've taken notes down on over the years and say, oh, we want to do this concert, we want to do this concert. And a lot of times what we try to do is we try to tell a story with the concert. We try to program it in such a way where there's not, maybe it's not necessarily a thread that goes through the whole concert, but when the concert's over, the audience feels like they've gone on a journey, gone on a ride. There's ups, there's downs, similar to telling a story or a movie, a three-act movie. It's cliched to say that there's act one and this happens in act one and this happens in act two and this happens in act three, but it works for a reason. It's a very good formula, and we try to do that with every one of our concerts, regardless of the subject matter.